I don't want to sound like a hopeless romantic, but I still remember the first time that I locked eyes on Tom. And that's because it was 4 days ago at 9:45 on the Saturday, just before our first game was at 10 o'clock. I'm joined today by Tom, my very recent doubles partner and new friend. How are you doing today, Tom?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm very
You're
good.
not
Thank
good
you.
at all.
Well,
You're
I'm
absolutely dying.
a bit ill. Yeah, just got a bit of the after event flu, I think, but it'll pass.
Yeah.
It'll pass.
Not from me. I'm still
No,
feeling
not from
great.
you. You're good. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not from Richie, who
No.
is also dying on his ass.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Alex
So,
got away okay somehow. Don't know
good.
how. Don't
Good.
know how,
Yeah,
but
good
yeah,
for him.
yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right. So, first of all, I guess we should talk about how we came to play with
Yeah.
each other, because we didn't actually talk to each other in
No.
person or even over video or anything like that until Saturday at about 10
Yeah,
o'clock.
I think we'd send each other probably about 2-3 days of messaging. And we
Mm.
showed each other our list once, and we were like, "Yeah, go on then." Yeah, I just bought a doubles ticket, and then the person I was going through from Hereford couldn't make it. Richie reached out to you to see if you wanted to do it, and you said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, go on then." So we just went ahead from there and did it.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh,
Yes.
I'll put you in a group chat," and
Yeah,
then we talked for like half a day. This was a couple of months ago,
yeah,
and then we didn't really do much with it because I think both just had other stuff going on. It's like, oh, it's ages away. We don't have to worry about it. We talked about some other list combinations, didn't we? But
yeah.
so what we did was we held off until the event pack was released. And when was the event pack released?
Oh, the week before, the week of, I think, pretty much like
Yeah,
the Monday maybe, or the Sunday before, or
I
something
think
stupid.
6 days before
Yeah.
that.
But,
It's fine. What we ended up deciding to go with, it didn't really affect us much. You had to lose a magic item on one of your characters.
Yeah, we were pretty. The only thing that would affect is the character cap, and we were quite low on characters anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, I will say I'm quite glad that we didn't go with one of our initial thoughts, which was double undead dragon.
Yeah, but that would have been cool.
It would have been
then
great.
we would have got all the lists wrong, and we wouldn't have been able to take them. Really, it would have been shit.
I think it would have been all right because, so for anyone who isn't aware, there was an allies matrix. So we went to a doubles event at the TSN Arena, which I probably should have said earlier. And Rob made a bit of a narrative pack because it's a doubles event, so it's a bit of a softer event. Well, it's meant to be. Not everyone took that seriously.
It's like bring a noob kind of thing, wasn't it? To get more people into the game.
Yeah. I guess you were. Am I your noob or are you my noob?
I don't know. Well, I'm probably your noob, I'd imagine.
Okay,
you've probably played more than me, so you know the rules better than me for sure. So you're definitely we'll go with that.
We'll go with the loophole of I was filling a gap. You know,
okay.
I was a stand-in. It's like
we're both noobs.
Yeah, that's probably true. Probably right. But yeah, so there was an allies matrix. So if you were friendly with each other, you could cast spells on each other. You know, there were no penalties. Everything was great. You had, I think, BSBs worked on each other and everything.
Yeah,
like
I think pretty much if you're friendly, like pretty much everything in the army co-worked together, which was quite nice.
Then if you were neutral, it was pretty okay. You could still cast spells on each other. No general leadership bubbles or anything else like that. And if you were enemies, like we were, you treated each other as enemies in the movement phase, or when you were moving. Sorry, so that's even more brutal. You didn't cause panic in each other, which is nice.
None of your buffs worked on me.
No. Although we did specifically build so that we weren't trying to buff each other. We were trying to debuff the enemy.
The Matrix actually paid in our favour, to be honest.
I think it did, there were less sort of double dragon lists.
Yeah.
But so we were playing the classic, I should say, combination of Skaven and Empire. You know,
best
all
friends.
that art. Yeah. Friendship ended with elves. Now Skaven are my new best friend. So do you want to give us a quick run through on your list? Because you had your list pretty set because the things that are good in Empire
we changed
make
it a bit
sense.
up, didn't we? So what it was I took a griffin with a general of the Empire on it. He didn't really have any magical weapons. He just had a great weapon. The cloak, the white cloak, which is the 5-up ward, 3-up ward against flaming. That's pretty much it for him. He's quite basic because of the points cost. The points were capped at 33% rather than 50% for the heroes.
Yes, for enemies specifically. If you were allies, you could take the full 500.
Oh, could you?
Yeah. We just had armies that didn't like each other.
Oh, okay. And then I took just a engineer, bare bones engineer with nothing on him. 2 units of 10 crossbowmen, both with a marksman with the Hotchkiss long rifle. A unit of 6 Empire Archers scouting with the marksman, unit of 5 Empire Archers scouting, and then I took 2 great cannons, a Howlblaster, and that was it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So fairly archetypical
fairly
Empire
Empire list. Yeah.
All the good things apart from the demigryphs, and maybe that was missing a trick because the Empire player with demigryphs did come second.
So,
maybe something to adapt.
The Griffin was definitely worth it though.
Yeah. So when you had that in mind, because you've got some really lovely 3D printed model. Nice unit fillers in there as well.
Yes, yeah.
If we get a chance, what I'll do is I'll put some of these pictures over my face as you're talking, so people can see what we've brought. But you had a fairly standard gunline list, and you're like, all right, can you just bring a front line?
For me some defense, basically.
Yeah.
What I would have took if I had the other 1,000 points, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're kind of talking about it, and then we just didn't talk about it at all until like a week before the event.
Yeah.
I was like, he hasn't released the event pack. I'm going to be using Skaven in 3 weeks' time from now. I'm just going to paint my Skaven. Turns out that was an incredible choice.
Yeah.
It worked really well for us.
Yeah. I got to say, they were good. I like the Skaven in that event. They were good.
So a quick run through on my list, and I'll talk about how it sort of paired in with your list. So first of all, level 4 Greyseer with a Lore Familiar. It was Elementalism caster. What does that mean? That means every game, well, not every game, we'll get to that.
To be fair, yeah.
I wanted to pick Plague of Rust, basically. So anytime my opponent was, coming towards me, I can say, -2 to armor save, here's an organ gun and a couple of rattling guns.
Buffing me without buffing me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Getting around those cheeky rules. Of course, that was in mind before we knew what the restrictions were, so it just worked out. To be honest, I had assumed that you wouldn't be able to buff your ally at all.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, of course, it wouldn't make sense, would it?
Yeah. So we had the Greyseer there. Then there was a level 0 Warlock Engineer. Level 0 as in I haven't paid to upgrade it to a caster. Ruby Ring Caddy. You just have to take one if you want to take some of the Clan Skyer units, such as the Poison Wind Globadeers, which I had a unit of.
Might as well give him the Ruby Ring while you're there, aren't you? Really?
Oh, yeah. Someone had to have it, and you didn't have points to do it. So
no.
Yes, I'll have that.
Yeah.
He was great. I really enjoyed having him. I paid for the upgrade to the Warplock Musket, which is like a Strength 4 AP1.
Yeah,
basically just a handgun, I think, that can also hurt you. I don't think I shot it all event.
I don't think you did shoot that once. No.
To be fair, he was dancing around the 24-inch range.
Yeah.
But I still could have taken some pot shots.
Yeah, because remember, you did. You definitely didn't shoot that once.
I'm not gonna lie. There were maybe some points that we didn't both play entirely optimally. I'm going to say I didn't play optimally. I think the things that you had in your list were not hard to mess up, but
it's
you knew what your job was.
Yeah. Stay still and shoot.
Absolutely, yeah. So I had the Warlock Engineer there as well. Great stuff. Yep. Then in core, 2 units of Clan Rats. Both had shields, just because I don't have any models without shields. Although we'll get onto models down the line, because I've got a slight bone to pick on the internet. So 2 units of Clan Rats with shields, both upgraded to have a Musician and a Champion. Champion, because you want to be able to challenge out. Musician, I think it also gives you better leadership. Musician gives you +1 to rally if you're fleeing, which is just really important on your terrible, terrible leadership units. So that was it. And then they both had a Rattling Gun. Rattling Gun is basically an organ gun at -1 strength, and it's only an 18-inch range gun.
But I really like it.
Oh, yeah. It has
like it.
What's it got on there? I think it's quick shot.
Yes, you can stand and shoot.
Because a lot of things have quick shot and move and shoot. I get those 2 rules combined in here. But quick shot, so no penalty for moving and shooting, but also you can stand and shoot at any range, which is
really nice, especially with a mini organ gun. Amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Amazing. There were a couple of times where my opponents got not like genuinely annoyed, but they were like, "You can do what? That's not okay." It's like, mate, Skaven, worst performing army in the game.
Yeah. Let them have one thing that does good.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just take the good things in the Skaven, book, and we'll work from there. But yeah, so there were 2 Rattling Guns with 2 babysitting units of Clan Rats. The Clan Rats were sort of bunkers for the general if I wanted to, or just road bumps because we needed something to slow down the hordes. That
couldn't let everyone get across the board so quick because.
And then the absolute MVPs, also in core, 2 units of Rat Swarms.
Yes. Yeah.
These things are money in the bank. They're swarms, so they're unbreakable. Immune to psychology, all the good keywords. They are skirmish, which is not ideal. I would have rather have them as be close or open order, something along those lines for better redirecting. But it just meant that you could fire them up the board. They don't block line of sight. Yeah.
Really quick.
So I'd march them 12 inches. Or not, as the case may be.
But
that was maybe a little bit of player error, so that's fine. We'll talk about that later.
It was kind of impossible not to do it, but
I think I could have done a better job.
Okay.
But yeah, so there are 2 units of rat swarms, and their job is to gum up stuff, and then let the rest of the army just shoot over the top of them, past them, whatever's needed.
And they did that.
I've just had a thought. Since all the stuff in my army were enemies, does that mean that we could have shot into combat? No, you just can't shoot into combat anyway.
No, that's just illegal. Yeah.
No, that's just stupid. Shut up.
They are Skaven, so technically the Empire probably didn't think they existed, so there was no combat happening.
I mean, very good, very good. I like that sort of rules lawyering. But then in special as well, I took a unit of 10 Poison Wind Globadiers. Now, these are either the best thing in the army or fairly pointless, and there is no in between. Are you playing against T3 cavalry with a 2 or 3 up save? If yes, oh my god, they are disgusting. Are you playing against nice goblins? Cool. You killed 4.
Wow.
You kill the same number of goblins as you do Grail Knights, or
killed 4 and killed 2 your own.
Yeah, they are hilarious. Basically, they've got a 9-inch range throwing weapon, which you can march and shoot. Your opponent doesn't get armor saves against it, which is very nice. But it is, strength 2. If you roll a 1 to hit, roll another d6 on another 1, you get some hits into yourself. Skaven-y shenanigans.
Yeah, definitely.
But so the thinking of that was basically a case of I wanted to block off, deal with fast problems, because skirmishers, dealing with other skirmishers is great, and just kind of be as much of an annoyance as possible to my opponent.
Yeah.
So we rock up on the day 1 and have a look around, and there's some familiar faces, some less familiar faces, which is good.
Yeah, there's quite a few people that I hadn't seen before, to be fair, though.
Yeah. There was a nice mix.
Yeah.
So we get into game 1, and we are paired against Bayglade Let It Rip.
Yeah.
So
these 2 were quite new to the game, weren't they? I think.
I think they played a bit.
Yeah,
I don't think they've been to many tournaments. Yeah. So they were playing a combination of orcs and goblins, and by that I mean night goblin fanatics and wood elves.
Yes.
So I looked at that on paper and I went, oh dear. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, well, poison 32-inch range bows is never great. Artillery just taken straight out. Everything. We haven't really got much armor between us. So, if they're getting 6s through us, killing stuff. So, and their range outranged us. So it was a bit iffy to start. And fanatics are always iffy, aren't they?
I think it might have been game 1 where one of our opponents said, so what armor have you got in the list? And I pointed at your general and went, he's got a 4-up save. And I was like, no, that's kind of it. They're just 5-up light armor shield saves.
I think I had 4-up and then 6-up on everything else, and then nothing on most of it. So
yeah. So that's fine. It speeds the game up if you don't have to roll armor saves.
Dead.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was good. So we played into, like I said, the orcs and goblins and the wood elves. This was an interesting game on the basis of both of us were starting to, as in us and the other team, we were starting to discover what it meant to be playing an army that was enemies with itself. I don't think we realized the march blocking in game 1, and I don't think they noticed either.
No, we didn't really think about that, did we?
Yeah, it was one of those where you go, wait, hold on a second, I can't.
For enemies, can't move. Yeah,
but we both got it wrong, so that worked out nicely. What they got wrong was I set up to fire a Ruby Ring of Ruin at some Wood Elf archers, seeing that if they were to run away, they'd run away through some Night Goblins. And our opponent went, all right, I'm going to evasive back. It's like, all right, cool. Evasive back, and I think lost 6 models to the fleet. At which point I was like, oh, wait, that's how that works.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have done it if
an enemy troop.
Yeah, I don't think there was any sort of good resolution there. It was either take a fireball to the face, then maybe flee,
and then maybe lose more.
Yeah, that was not a gotcha from either side, but just as a group, us not collectively knowing how the rule went. So that was not a great start for the Wood Elves, although they did go first and they did put a lot of shots into one of your cannons.
Yeah, I think they pretty much took a cannon off pretty much straight away.
It had a wound.
A wound.
Yeah, we got quite lucky with that because we wanted to pick up their artillery on turn 1.
Which we did.
Yeah. They only had a single Doom Diver. Doom Diver's fantastic, but did whiff in the first shooting phase.
And we got rid of that, luckily.
Didn't get a second shooting phase.
No. The
Perfect.
Empire Great Cannons are pretty great.
Oh, they're incredible.
Yeah.
So this is the first event where I've played with cheap skirmish units that can forward deploy, they can scout, and it blew my mind. Like, objectively, obviously, I know they're good and I understand how they work, but actually using them was amazing. Do you want to talk about how we use scouts for the...
Our scouting archers, my scouting archers, all we did with them is decide what we wanted to slow down the most in their army and place them 12 inches away in a line, just big enough that no one could fit through it, and big enough gaps either side, and then we blocked off as much as we could, just to give us maybe a turn or two of them trying to get through it. I know they're not going to hold if they get charged or anything, but like they at least then got a charge stop and make their way again. It was just to slow stuff down completely, and it worked great, didn't it?
It was incredible. I don't think we needed to do it much on the second day. The armies that we were against, we didn't really benefit from doing. So we used them more defensively, or actually we'll get into game 5. But the first 3 games, game 1, blocked off like a big unit of wood elves with a caster in, just longbows with casters. And what else did we block off as well? There was something.
I think we just went the other side to we shielded the artillery.
That was it. Yes, use the second squad
to give them minuses to shoot at.
So what they had to do was kill the skirmishing unit of bows,
get through,
which wasted some shots, which meant that the cannon survived on a single wound. I was feeling pretty big brain about that one at the time.
It was good. It was a good move.
Yeah, and then second and third game we fully moved blocked in as well.
Yes,
which was good.
They're great. They're like 40 points a unit or something, and they're amazing, weren't they?
I've been drafting some dwarf lists. There's some interesting dwarf content coming. You'll have to wait and see. Maybe a couple of weeks' time for that one. But I've been writing loads of dwarf lists, and the rangers. I'm just going to take rangers with crossbows and throwing axes and no other upgrades, and that's like I think 55 points or maybe 60 points
for a unit of
5 models. I was like, cool. I'm going to take 2 of those and rare 120 points. Amazing.
Do they have scout on them, or do they have scout built in?
They have scout built. Yeah. So you just go, cool. This is my slightly better Empire archers that are more expensive, so worse at what I want them to do, but just so valuable for such a slow-moving army.
Yeah, but they're T4 still.
T4, so, a little bit slower, move 3.
Yeah, but you're not planning on moving much once they're deployed in a line to block you.
I do really like deploying 12 inches away and then marching 8 inches forwards with the Empire archers. That feels really good. That's definitely something I enjoy.
Yeah. It's really ballsy too, with a +3 no armor save, single boon bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I guess I personally find it a little bit dull to fully go into depth about blow by blow on the games if you haven't got something visually in front of you. So we kind of just talk about vibes. I like this game, had a lot of fun. They were great. There was a really funny moment where we forgot to do something, and I can't remember what it was. It was something quite minor. And one of us.
I think we're only in the next phase, like starting phase, hasn't we?
We're like, do you mind if we do that? Which I personally normally don't do at more serious events, but Double's a bit more relaxed. So, and one of them said, "Yeah, that's absolutely fine," and the other one just sort of turned to him and was like, "You can't just make that decision." And it was so funny because he was like, "Yeah, absolutely, you can do that, but how dare you not ask me?"
Yeah.
We're a team.
It wasn't like a game-breaking move, was it?
Just small. It's in a singles game. He'd be like, "Yeah, absolutely." Yeah. Or what his only issue was that his teammate didn't check with him first.
Yeah,
which I thought was fairly hilarious.
Yeah,
but that went really well for us. Basically, the Wood Elf player failed. Every leadership test. The poor guy.
Yeah, just threw the Griffin straight up the board turn 2, didn't we? Charged the Night Goblins, got rid of them. Turn around, charge the Elves, got rid of them.
Yeah.
And like I said, he failed every leadership test. He tried to charge my Griffin about 3 times and failed the leadership charge every time to get in.
It was really good. What I enjoyed the most was we were sort of not agonizing over, but there was a fair amount of discussion about whether we should send the Griffin out early.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit, you were a bit concerned about losing it because they've got a lot of fanatics. You've only got a 4-up save. They've got a lot of poison. I was like, just full send it.
Yeah.
And then we positioned it to charge the Night Goblins and overrun into a cannon. And they released the fanatics. And I was like, right, you're going to take about 2 or 3 wounds here. It's not great, but it's not ideal. And then I think you took 1.
Yeah, my because he had the ward, the 5-up ward.
Yeah.
And the amount of 5s I rolled on that ward was ridiculous over the weekend.
It was a little bit dirty.
Yeah.
So basically they had a turn they needed to crunch the general, otherwise he was going to rip through the lines, and they didn't. And that's all she wrote, basically. We just swept through and had a 13-7
13-7,
yeah, which was the square-based events have, it's within 100 points for the first, for it to be a 10-10 draw, and after that it's a 200-point differential. So we beat them by about 670 points or something like that, but that was only a 13-7, which I think is a good scoring system. It's harder to get big wins.
Yeah, the doubles felt harder as well to get big wins, to be fair. There was I think only 120-0 in the whole event.
Yeah, I think in part it's a little bit more of a casual event. There were more players
true.
Less cutthroat about it, but also I think because we were playing a gun line, I think it's hard to, unless you table your opponent, which we didn't have the guns to do. It's hard to do that. But yes, that was game 1. Got a 13-7 win. Great start there. And then, of course, game 2, we're immediately paired into Richie and Alex.
Yeah.
So this was
Civil War.
Yeah, we knew going in this was going to be the hardest game, just based on, Richie's pretty good.
Yeah.
I didn't say that, so don't tell him, but he's pretty all right at the game. And what they were planning on bringing originally was Dwarves and High Elves, and the High Elves were going to have a dragon, all great stuff, and then the event pack came out, and Alex didn't have enough stuff painted, so they just ended up taking 2 halves of Richie's Dwarves, which is,
solid.
A tough list to crack, because it's just his tournament list.
He's just, basically.
It was a
but it was quite good spirits going into this game, because I knew it would be a good fun game.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. So what we did again, going back to the archers, is we measured his. So he was playing a big brick of, what was it? Was it?
Warriors,
I think it was just warriors.
Yeah, just warriors.
Yeah, he shaved some points. He's gone for a more basic list, but he's got an anvil as well. So the risk is he puts them in marching column. He double moves. Suddenly he's 2 inches away from you, and if you're a gun line, that's
pretty bad.
Aim. Yeah. So we're like, okay, we can't do this. So what we did was we measured out how wide his unit was, worked out what he could drill down to get into marching column, then measured out. So it's like, okay, so you can get something like 7 inches from the board edge. So we're going to go 6.9 here, and then each one's going to be 1 inch apart, and then we're just going to, there we go, and we're going to basically corral him into
not being able to fit. Just can't get past.
Yeah, exactly. We absolutely had, we had way more drops than them. So I was concerned about going second, because we didn't want to. We wanted to deal with that brick before it had a chance to do anything, basically.
Yeah, it's normally the brick that you ignore, but in this game we couldn't.
Yeah, because so much of our army is fairly immobile.
Yeah, we couldn't do it.
We actually could have done, and we'll get to that in a couple of rounds. But it's not ideal, I think, to have to deal with. But there we were. So turn 1, they won the roll off to go first. They had all their war machines in the back. Just to briefly talk about the list: grudge thrower, cannon. What else was there? There was
organ
the anvil. Gun. Oh yeah, there was an organ gun. So 6 war machines, and we were talking about it. Rich is like, yeah, no, I don't think this is a gun line. 6.
A massive line of ranges at the front.
Yeah, there was. How many were there? It was like 20 ranges.
Yeah.
A couple of units of Iron Drakes, I think. Maybe just 1 unit of Iron Drakes.
One unit of Iron Drakes, yeah.
Yeah, 6 war machines, and then he's got 1 combat res brick of warriors, and he's like, yeah, no, I don't think it's a gun line, bro. I think his head's broken by dwarves. And he's like, yeah, no, there's guns in it, but it's not a gun line.
It's a combat army.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But they went first because they got the +1.
Yeah.
They marched up, and then it came to Alex to roll the double move spell. In fact, before that, Alex tried to roll the +1 to your save and re-roll saves spell to put it onto the dwarf brick, because that's a terrifying thing to have to deal with. Rolled a 1 and a 2, so didn't get that spell off. Thanks, Alex. Went to cast the bound spell to double move. Didn't go off. Thanks, Alex. Now there's a dwarf brick that's just sort of positioned awkwardly next to the 2 units of skirmishing archers that can't really go anywhere, and we've bought ourselves a lot of time. So we're in a great position here.
Yep.
They do a little bit of shooting, kill an underwhelming amount of the skirmishing archers that are move blocking.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened, but never mind.
not going to complain. We were over half range and also skirmish, so they were shooting at -2.
Yeah, so yeah, they're hitting quite high.
We got a little bit lucky with that one for sure, but there was enough there that we could have just move blocked the dwarves in and positioned to move block them again. Basically, we were in a really good spot to move block the dwarf combat res brick for 3 or 4 turns, very comfortably. And I'm not going to say I made a decision. So Richie decided to, instead of trying to kill the war machines with his war machines, snipe the cannons with his grudge throwers, and they were out of line of sight. So, it was maybe hard to do. It was like, I'm just going to put the templates in the middle of those big units, see if I kill anything. It's not optimal, but, it's fun. So he did that, didn't kill anything. And then we went, we shouldn't kill that big brick, but it's way funnier to do it.
Yeah.
And we did say, this is a high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
We could have definitely won that game by just sort of stopping it from doing anything from 3 to 4 turns.
Yeah. But we didn't.
No, we didn't do that.
But it was quite really good fun to try and kill that brick.
Oh, it was incredible. It's the most fun I've had rolling dice in Old World.
Normally that brick is the thing that I'm like, right, let that kind of stay where it wants to, get away from it, block it off, and not kill it, not interact with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did was we moved the skirmishing archers out of the way in both ways. So I was just like, just march them towards the enemy, get them out of the way. So you did that. I brought some rat swarms in just in case things went wrong, so to buy us a little bit of time having them in front, because obviously you can shoot over those with no penalty. Marched up some poison wind globadiers on the left flank. We got off Plague of Rust before anything else happened. I think that was sort of the big, like, oh, we're going.
Yeah, once you got that off, like, you've got a much better chance of doing the wounds to them, haven't you?
Yeah, so I think the combination of them failing the increased save and reroll bound spell, us getting Plague of Rust off, those two we combined, is like,
it's that one chance to try it if we want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like,
this we're going to get.
Yeah. Brought all the guns to bear. I threw some poison wind globadiers. I killed like 1. I was like, okay, this isn't great. You lit up with the organ gun. You killed like 3 or 4. Actually, I think the organ guns
got a few. Yeah.
I fired the rattling guns. I killed I think I killed like 3 or 4 on the first one. Then I killed nothing on the second one. And I was like, that's fine. That evens out.
Mm-hmm.
The cannons, which we shot first because that's the most optimal way to do it to get the most ranks. They killed a dwarf, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't do much. Great. And we kind of got to the end of the shooting and just went,
whoops.
Still 2/3 of the unit there.
Yeah. It's not gone down as much as we hoped.
No. But and then from there, it was a fairly hilarious game of back and forth where we just tied up that dwarf unit for as long as possible. Ran away with everything else to make sure they didn't get points. And do you want to talk about what your Griffin did for the whole game?
We took what we did last game. We just looked at each other and said, should we just send it up the board, and just sent it up the board on its own with all this dwarf shooting, pointing at it. And he survived. He didn't take did he take a wound? But I took 3 wounds.
I think he ended on 4 wounds remaining or something like that.
He took 3 wounds, but that was from like all of the shooting. 2 grudge throwers, organ gun.
Yeah.
So he went straight for the organ gun, basically. Just marched up, straight for the organ gun, charged it, reformed, went back for the miners, and then reformed again, and went and got the anvil. And if I'd positioned him a bit better last turn, we probably could have got another grudge thrower, which is impressive for a single Griffin to go around and do.
Yeah, so it ended up, that general did a lot of heavy lifting, and that meant we ended up in a 10-10 draw.
Yeah.
And you say that you could have maybe got another grudge thrower, which would have potentially given us a win, but the other way of looking at it is in the last turn of the game, Richie shot the grudge thrower and it misfired and it killed itself.
Yeah.
So I think we deserved a draw.
Yeah.
And we got one from the misfire, so not being greedy and getting the other grudge thrower.
Yeah, it was a very good game, that was.
I'm okay with. But yeah, that was like really tight. There was a surprising amount of stuff killed.
It was like the middle of the day too, and it was getting pretty hot in there, and everyone was like losing their minds a little bit, weren't they? Getting rules wrong, arguing with each other a little bit.
Yeah, like the first sort of hour and a half, just between the 4 of us, had case the giggles.
Yeah.
And then played a little bit faster, and then the last sort of 20 minutes were not stressful, but were just like, we got to go, we got to play fast, because we played like an hour and a half to play 2 rounds. Of
we managed to play all 6, though. We did get it done.
Oh yeah, we did. Like as soon as we realised we had to step our speed up, we
just had Alex being very annoyed with my ward saves.
Yeah. So Alex was someone who I, again, have talked to a little bit online, just in group chats, but hadn't met. I think I might have met my match Alex is great, just as insulting as I am in person. So really enjoyed that.
You get on quite well, don't you?
Yeah,
I can never tell if you're getting on or not liking each other.
yeah, that's a great sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was a 10-10 draw, and yeah, not much else to say about it. I was quite pleased with that because
I was very pleased with it. I was going into that expecting to get funded by his dwarves.
Yeah, I was saying before we recorded, this is the third time I've played Richie at an event. First time I was just like, oh, thank you, Mr. Richard, for teaching me the rules. Second time I was like, I don't know if that's right. Can we just double check that? And this time I was like, no, that's wrong. We're going to check it. Cool. And then there was one that I called. It's not like there was an egregious amount of, but there were like 2 or 3 things where it's like, that's not how this interaction works. And then there was one where I was like, I don't think that's right. We're going to check it. And I was wrong. And Richie was so pleased to call me on that, which is, as it should be.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of rules, to be fair. You can't get them
too many. It's not even the amount of rules; it's the interaction between them all.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone should do something about that. So then we came into game number 3, and we came up against a Beastman and Empire of Man combination.
Quite a similar list.
Yeah,
relatively, wasn't
it? More aggressive stuff on the front line from the Beastmen, but the Empire was very similar. They had handgunners instead of crossbows.
And just swapped the Griffin for demigriffs, pretty much, and that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
and a level 4.
I'm really glad they did that. Those demigriffs didn't really get to do very much all game.
No. That was this was the game where I thought it was going 100% massively to us.
Yeah.
And then it just tables turned so quickly.
Yeah. So do you remember who went first? I can't remember who got the first turn on this one. I think they did.
I think so, because they were in us turn 2, basically, weren't they? So yeah, because he had those 3 units straight in front of us turn 2. So I'd imagine they went first to get that far.
Yeah. So we deployed fairly standard, Griffin behind a building to stop it being shot by the war machines. Most of my stuff over to the right so I could swing round. Most of your stuff over to the left because that's where the hill was.
Yep.
Empire archers move blocking the entire left flank. The way the demigriffs were positioned, they couldn't get round. And we spent a while sort of measuring this out.
Yeah.
Because we put them there and they're like, oh, we could just charge you turn 1. And we're like, actually, I don't think you can because you've
either way they wheeled, they would hit their own unit or a building. So they couldn't wheel enough to get round the corner, basically.
Yeah, so we basically just sat in and were able to move block them. So turn 1, they could walk forwards but not do too much. And then turn 2, they ended up charging, which was great because bought us loads of time.
Yep.
By that point, the rat swarms were behind them.
Yeah.
So then rat swarms blocked off everyone from doing anything until, I think, when did the demigriffs get out of there? It was like turn 4 or 5, I think.
Yeah. Like after the beastmen had been into us and already got rid of a fair bit, and then the demigriffs came up behind. But yeah, they were out of the game pretty much.
Yeah,
which is really good because if they got into they're quick, they're strong.
Yeah. So this was an interesting one. This was a game where, because they went first, they had the pressure, but all our shooting went really well. Like turn 1, the Dragon Ogres were up on our face, a unit of 3 Dragon Ogres. I got Plague of Rust off. You got the organ gun off. We got the double between the organ gun and 2 rattling guns. That unit just ceased to exist, which is
nice. Yeah,
10 out of 10.
Yeah, the Howl Blaster it had its moments. To be fair to it, when it went off, it went off pretty good.
I know some people poo-poo the dwarf organ gun, and I get why. I am quite tempted to give it a good rollout because 30-inch range on that gun is so punishing. Even if you go first, turn 1, just being able to go, I'm just going to put, oh, hey, there's 14 shots into it. Yeah. Sure, it's at long range, but...
still, it's this pressure, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of pressure, especially if you combine it with Plague of Rust and 2 rattling guns. So, I guess the vibes on this one, good game, really good fun, really enjoyed playing them. The vibes were turn 1, oh, that's a lot of pressure. Turn 2, oh, we've killed so much. I had a unit of rat swarms. So Jack had some Razor Gores individual. One killed the archers on the right flank, overran, didn't make it near enough to us to do anything. I then just sort of encircled it, the front bit, with some rat swarms so it couldn't go anywhere. So I was feeling great about the right flank. And we shot loads of stuff off the board.
Yeah, the shooting was really effective on our turn.
On turn 2 it was,
yeah, turn 2. That's what I mean. Turn 2, we were looking really good, weren't we? With what we had taken off, I was quite happy with it.
Yeah, because they'd pushed Dragon Ogres, a Razor Gore, and a Jabba Scythe up against basically just ready to charge into one unit of crossbows.
Yeah,
and that was scary. And then I think, did all of it die?
Yeah. None of that actually got to us.
Yeah, but then they rinsed and repeated for turn 3.
Yeah,
and I can't remember what they put in front of us.
It was one Razor Gore that got rid of all my artillery.
Yeah,
and a chariot.
Yeah, that was it.
That was the chariot. Just
yeah, and that just soaked up all the shit.
And then Vile Tide.
Yeah, this is the first time I'd actually played against the Vile Tide caster. You know, the standard level 4 with the what's it called? The Hag Tree Fetish.
Yeah.
So you can reroll your wounds.
Yeah.
We got off really lightly. I think it did 2 or 3 wounds to your general on the first turn, and then you charge your general in, killed some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you only have so long with it. It's gonna get you.
Yeah.
If you stand there and let him do it, it's gonna get you.
Yeah. So that game basically went, oh god, they're coming towards us. Okay, we've killed everything. Oh god, they're coming towards us. Oh no, we didn't kill it. They charged us.
Yeah.
Now they're mopping up. This looked like it was going to be a 15-5 win.
Yeah.
It became a 5-15 loss.
Yeah.
So that
it was a single wound Razor Gore too that just fucking was charging.
Oh god, yeah.
Just a single wound. He was making dangerous terrain tests every time because I was in the forest.
I'd forgotten about
Passed them all. It was like, oh no.
Yeah. Because I think you stood and shot into the Razor Gore and dropped it to a wound. And they were like, oh, can you take a dangerous terrain? Roll the dangerous terrain. Fine. Killed them. Overran into the cannon. We're like, can you take a dangerous terrain? Passed it. Overran, I think, into the Hellblaster. Like, please take a dangerous terrain. Passed it. Wasn't ever a problem.
No.
But
scary little things, those.
Yeah. So that was the end of day 3. And game 3 on day 1.
Yeah.
So we had a win, a loss, and a draw. And then we went for dinner, which was nice.
Yes, really nice.
So something that Rob does is you all go out if you want to a place called GB Cafe. I think it's called Oriental Diner and Sushi or something like that.
Sure, something like that. Yeah.
You look at the front, and you're like, "What is this bizarre greasy spoon?" And you go inside, and you're like, "What an odd looking place."
Yeah, it's quite strange.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was. I said to my missus, it's probably one of the best Chineses I've had. Sit down Chineses.
Yeah,
it's really, really good.
It's one of those where if I ever go for a cuisine, and I the way you can tell that it's good is if the ethnicity of the food. So we went in, basically it was almost entirely all Asian people.
Yes, yeah.
And the Oscar, who was with us as well, he was like, yeah, this is all loads of really authentic stuff. Third time I've been in there. Really looking forward to going again in a week and a half when I've got my next event.
Yeah,
I live in Nottingham. I could just go at any time, but it's
a treat, is it?
Oh yeah. I think it might ruin it, but it's just a really lovely evening. Sit down, have a bit of a socialise, and enjoy some.
Yeah, they were really nice too. To be fair, the people who own it, really friendly. Because we turned up close to closing time, and they just sorted us right out. Yeah,
and that's sort of like the standard experience. So they know Rob very well because he comes every event. He comes down. I think he probably goes there quite often. They know what sort of stuff he likes to order. So I think. I don't know if it's an agreement, but they're totally fine with him coming in later on, sorting out food. And I guess it is a big whack of business for them.
Yeah.
It's just lovely that they do that.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah, so great stuff there. Then next morning, I went to Yoke for breakfast, which is a really nice egg-themed breakfast place. Weird that, eh? But again, just like the dinner, you can all go out and have breakfast at the same place if you want to, but definitely get there early because the tables fill up quick. Weirdly, it's really nice.
We walked around the tournament before when we got there. It was just chocker. So we were coffee.
There was a group of, I think it was like a GB women's sports team of something, according to the back of the jacket, taking up loads of the outdoor seating. So
really?
When I turned up, I was like, oh god, I'm not going to get a seat.
Yeah.
Got in, had my breakfast, all good stuff. And then we were on to game number 4. So game number 4, and this was my personal favourite.
Yeah,
we were playing into Horrible Horde, which was Kevin and Kerry, a couple and I think this was, they'd been to plenty of events in the past, sort of like Sith Edition Fantasy.
Yeah, because they'd just converted the army up to Old, hadn't they, I think?
Yeah. It was their first event they'd gone to together as a doubles. So weirdly, they'd been to a doubles event, but it was one where you mix and match, so you just get paired with a random person when you turn up. So it was their first tournament playing together. It was great. They were playing Skaven as well, which was fantastic. So Kev and I just talked a lot about Skaven.
Yep.
And you're like, what does that do? And I'm like, it does this thing. And then we're just rolling dice where you're like, I don't understand what
what is going on?
And the paired with the Skaven were Night Goblins. It was, again, a Night Goblin fanatic army. But it was lovely. Really nicely painted.
Yes, they fitted so well together, the armies.
Oh, yeah, it was beautiful.
They looked so good side by side, amazing. They were all the older sculpts, weren't they? A lot of old stuff in there.
Yeah, there was one of the classic giants, the one that was re-released on Made to Order, and it was one of Kev's old armies that I think he'd given to Carrie. I can't remember what it was. She'd been playing a different army, didn't enjoy it, so she'd started playing the Night Goblins and had repainted most of them, but didn't repaint the giant.
She said she wouldn't repaint that one because it was his favourite painting that he did. So
he said it was the first... He was first model he painted that he was happy with.
Yeah.
It was so lovely. There was such a lovely couple.
Her painting was lovely. The goblins were all individual. They were all like real little quirky bits, then, weren't they?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, no, it was great. It was a really, really lovely experience. I will say they were one of the two armies that I voted for best sports.
Yeah. Same with me.
I'm glad you said yeah. I probably should have checked beforehand.
No, I did.
That'd be really awkward.
I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, they did win best sports. They were. Yeah. They turned up not to win games, but won our hearts.
Yes, they were really friendly, really nice.
It was lovely. So this was a game that we didn't actually get that many rounds into. I think
we looked at the clocks and it was 45 minutes in and we hadn't even finished deploying. And we were like, better hurry up.
It was funny because normally that annoys me, but we were at doubles and I was just like, I genuinely didn't care. I was like, whatever. Yeah. I'm not here to play the most.
Normally 2 people to talk, and then you put 4 people on the table to talk. It takes twice as long to get it all spoke about, doesn't it?
Yeah, so. And then doubles is a bit less of a competitive experience as well. So there's a bit more socializing, a bit more sort of like, let's just double check these rules and all that. So I think we got to the end of round 4, and that was fine.
Yeah, I think we start round 4. We decided to say, look, should we just end of this round rather than try and squeeze a 5th in? Because otherwise it was push for time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And that ended up 11-9 victory. And just great. Just had a lovely 3 hours, and hopefully we'll see more of Rob's events.
Yeah. It was a good game, that. There was some scary moments in it, to be fair.
So there's a unit that Skaven have called the Doom Wheel, which is a heavy chariot.
Yeah, I really did like that.
T5, 4 wounds, and a 5-up armor save. So that falls apart to a fart, which is why you don't take it, because it's like 145 points. What it does very funny is it has a shooting attack that isn't a shooting attack. At the end of the shooting phase, you put down 3 markers, and then it scatters 2d6 in a random direction, and it's an artillery die of strength. Yeah. If it rolls a misfire, it takes a wound. So I was like, you're like, oh, that sounds really good. It's like,
but it's only 1 wound, isn't it? I need to get it in my head. It's only 1 wound.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
So we were like, priority. So we'll kill that, and we'll also kill the giant. I think those were our 2 sort of big targets for killing with artillery. Turn 1, completely whiff. I don't think do a single wound to the Doomed Wheel. No. It was grim. And sort of halfway through turn 2, you turned to me like, I really like that. You should have one of those. I was like, it's terrible. Yeah. You've just not killed it. This is the first time.
I really do like a gut runners. Jesus.
Do you want to talk about what they did to you?
Just march straight up. Scouted, marched straight up to me, and just shot a whole unit of crossbowmen straight off the table. I was like, wow.
Well, there were 2 left, 2, okay. Because that's what mattered. What was incredible was they passed their leadership test.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I passed like 90% of my leadership test somehow. I don't know how. And you did, to be fair.
I did as well, yeah. We were playing leadership 7 across the board. Yeah. I only had leadership 7 if I had my general nearby.
Yeah, I had 9 there, so cheated a little bit, but...
Well, yeah, with the general making it better, but we were passing so many leadership 7 rolls.
Yeah, it was really good.
Now's probably a good time to talk about the fact that I think it was game 2, we realized you had to test for march blocking from your own your allies' models if they were enemies.
Yeah.
This is where I failed like all of my leadership tests. Like my leadership 4 rat swarms up the march blocked, great. Cool.
Yeah, because they're always leadership 4, aren't they?
Yeah, you can't use the general's leadership because they're swarms. The Poison Wing Globadiers quite often were deployed right next to your general. I'd be like, oh, let's see if I can march. No, I can't march. Cool. I'm just going to shuffle
and then we did
forward.
try and start thinking about how we could move stuff away, but half the time we'd be like, think we moved everything away.
Yeah.
And there'd be like a unit of crossbowmen right next to it, and we're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah. So that was an interesting development. I think maybe contributed a little bit to the lower scores that we got, because our victories were sort of in the 13 to 11 range as opposed to big stomps. But yeah, so that was game number 4. We went and had lunch, and then we were back for round number 5. Now, there were an odd number of teams, unfortunately. So round number 5, we got paired into the spare player, who is Rebecca. And I've played against Rebecca. I played against her at the last event. I haven't actually played against her at the club, but she is another local, so I see her quite often. Really like her. She's got a great grasp on the rules.
Yeah, she's lovely.
We had quite a lot of good chats about sort of rules interactions and how things should be working, which was great. But she was playing not a 2,000 point list, but she had 1,000 points of vampire counts and then 1,000 points of empire as well. And I was a little concerned because I don't know if 2 monkey brain compared to 1 actual brain was gonna
gonna do anything.
Especially game 5 when we were fried, and Rebecca had only played on the Sunday because there was a different spare player on the Saturday. So I was kind of looking and going, oh, that's a lot of scaring stuff. There's a Terrorgeist. There's a level 4 Necromancer on foot, to be fair. There was a Banshee. So there were only 2 Screams, but it was also 1,000 points, so it's hard to fit more in.
2 massive blocks of skeletons. What were they, 40 strong, were they? Or
32,
32,
I think.
32.
But they were, 8 wide, so they were getting a lot of attacks with spears.
Yeah.
I looked at that, and I looked at our list, and I was like, I don't know if we... Because previously, when I've played against Rebecca's spear list, skeleton list, I was playing Nomadic Horde, so I had more attacks than I could shake a stick at. Whereas this time I was like, okay, well, we have good shooting, but if we don't fully kill it, then it just get rezzed, and that kind of sucks.
Also, Banshee being ethereal flying around, and we had like 1 thing that could deal with it. Your level 0.
Yeah, the Ruby Ring of Ruin. And also, she had a Battle Magic caster and a Necromancer, both level 4, and both with a +1 to their dispel range. Oh, sorry, +1 to dispel roll, and then the Necromancer had +3 inch range. So basically, it was an anti-magic list. So we just sat there like, oh well, great.
Yeah.
So we deployed. I started off by putting down my stuff, which is typically what we did, because I sort of had an idea of where the crossbow should go just for fire lanes in general. So I put down my stuff to leave space for it. And Rebecca, when she was deploying, she did let slip. She was like, because we were talking about the march blocking, she was like, I just deployed them as 2 separate armies, 1 on each flank. And as soon as she said that, I was like, cool. We're going to null deploy. We're going to be fully on the right-hand side.
Get that empire.
Didn't say that out loud. So I was just like, put them here. And you're like, do you not want more on the left? And I was like, no, we want to be over here. So we deployed basically fully over to the right-hand side of the board, whereas all of Rebecca's undead were over at the far left. It's like, I don't want to deal with that. We'll just... That can be a problem for later, basically.
Yeah.
So, and then the archers as well. They were deployed right up at the board edge, basically just 12 inches away from the 2 cannons.
The Empire board edge, not the undead.
That's key to note. They were there to try and deal with the cannons, and they were probably never going to shoot it to death, but in theory, turn 2, they could charge it. That was
try and get them, because, it's an easy way to block up the cannons or deal with them, isn't it? Cheap way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we went... did we go first? Yeah, we did, yeah. We got to go first, and the decision-making became kill the cannons or kill the Terrorgeist. And what did we go with?
Cannons.
Kill the cannons.
Cannons first.
We whiffed a little bit. I think between your archers and crossbows, you actually did 2... you did a single wound to the cannon, which I was like, that's great. Now if the cannonball hits it, it just auto-dies. Turns out not the case, because I spent all event manifesting things, but on the second day I spent all day manifesting that you misfired or rolled 1 to wound with your cannons.
And that's what happened. Amazing.
Well, to be fair, one of the cannons went wrong.
The one without the engineer?
The one without the engineer. Did it misfire so it couldn't shoot on turn 2 or something?
Couldn't shoot for 2 turns.
Yeah, couldn't shoot it, so it couldn't shoot turn 1, couldn't shoot turn 2.
Yeah.
The second cannon thankfully killed one of her cannons as well. So that was good there. But other than that, didn't do much. We sort of just staged up. You brought the Empire General out outside of the Knight's charge range, but just forwards enough that you could actually threaten to do stuff.
Yeah, he was kind of like going towards the cannon way, wasn't he? Because like he can take a round of shooting off one cannon and not die 100%. So as long as he can get there next turn, that cannon's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Rebecca's turn 1. She shot back. I don't think the cannon really did anything.
I think she moved her wizard out of the unit and blocked the cannon's line of sight by accident.
That was it. Yes.
So she went to shoot my cannon and realized she couldn't see the cannon.
Yeah, that was quite a funny sequence of events. So at the start of the turn, rolled Oaken Shield, gave the unit of knights that the battle magic caster on horse was attached to, gave them a 5-up ward. I was like, she's only cast it on an 8 or a 9. I think we try and dispel this because I knew the knights were going to come forwards, and I really wanted to make sure that they died, basically.
Because they were ready to come. They were 10 wide, were they?
I think it might have been 8, but it
wide.
Was just
there were a line of them.
Yeah, it was a line of knights.
And then the other unit she had was drilled anyway, so we were having 2 units of 8 wide knights coming at us.
Yes, exactly. So I was like, I really don't want to. We failed to dispel it. I don't love that. Then the caster immediately left the unit, which was quite funny. Left the unit, got up on the hill so that she could chuck a pillar of flame down to try and deal with the 2 units of archers, which I hadn't, in my head, for some reason, seen as an option. I thought they were super safe on the flank there. I forgot that
stuff can move.
Well, because the way they were out of charge arcs of the knights, I just forgot that the character could just get out of there, which it did.
It's fine.
It worked out.
Yeah, it worked.
Because then she positioned, tried to cast Arcane Urgency, failed to get it off, which was
big.
Yeah, that was absolutely massive. Then went to shoot the cannon and
couldn't.
I think the wizard was probably meant to get back in the unit of knights, to be honest. But because it couldn't move, the cannon wasn't able to shoot back at the other cannon. Shot at your Griffin Lord, which I was like, great result. I think just didn't do anything at all.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah. I don't think it took a wound that last game, to be fair, my Griffin.
No, I don't know if it did. It survived pretty well. So then it comes to our turn 2. We're set up to just sort of blast through all the knights. We blast through all the knights.
Because the charge, I was going to charge a cannon. But she obviously left her wizard right in front of the cannon. So I charged the wizard. She fled off the board. And then I redirected to the cannon. So that played out really nicely for us there.
It really did. Yeah, that was perfect. It couldn't have gone better because it meant that we just were set up to do things on our next turn, which we would have been anyway with the redirect, just overrunning. But it was nice just to get them out the way and not have to deal with a wizard.
And the knights were gone due to shooting.
So one of the unit of knights just evaporated because they were near the organ gun and near the rattling guns. So it's just like, goodbye. Too bad, so sad. I think I travel Mystical Pathway'd one so that it was in close range. You had the organ gun just rolling good shots. The other one, I think I killed 3 or 4 with a Poison Wind Globadiers. And there was still sort of 4 models left, which was fine. And pretty much nothing else happened there. We shot 2 cannons. Oh no, shot a cannon into the Terrorgeist. How did that go?
Just terrible. We shot that Terrorgeist so much, nothing happened.
Yeah, this was the beginning of the pain.
Could hit it and just not hurt it.
Yeah. So basically, at the end of the turn, the Vampire Count side of the board was completely unmolested, but the Empire side of the board was almost entirely wiped. I think there was literally just 3 or 4 Knights of the Empire.
And an engineer.
Oh, yeah!
A lone engineer.
This is where tempers were starting to fray a little bit, because you're like, I should have just shot him after I told you to charge him, because the engineer won that combat and ran.
I was going to chase him around my archers and shoot him and kill him, and you said just charge him.
I still maintained that was the right choice, because
and then I fled, and then
the engineer has 1 attack. That you were getting 3 attacks in, you'd have been hitting with your bows on 6s. I don't think it was the right choice to shoot him. But yeah, the engineer did somehow win combat. then the archers fled towards the board edge.
Yeah.
And then on the next turn, the engineer declared a charge.
Yeah. But,
they fled off the board.
Yeah, never mind, eh?
Yeah. So anyway, in the shooting phase, we managed to kill like 850 points worth of stuff effectively. Oh, including the combat with the cannon. We're feeling really good about things at this point. And Rebecca's going, I'm just a spare player. It doesn't matter. Did you notice she stopped saying that in the second half of the game?
Yeah, when the vampires turned around and faced us and ran.
Yeah.
Well, no vampires, but just undead.
So then just sort of to summarize the rest of the game, Terrorgeist charged some rats, screamed some rats.
Yeah.
Then killed them on our turn. So that was like, this is the worst case scenario because we don't get to shoot your Terrorgeist.
Yep.
Failed to redirect, so it just overran off the board. So that was, evened out for us. All the skeletons just sort of shuffled up. The knights declared a charge into the poison wind globadiers.
Yep.
I stood and shot, killed the rest of the models. Which was like, that was one of those where she was like, that's really good. That shouldn't be allowed. It's like, yeah, but it's Skaven.
Yeah, the Empire didn't really get to touch us at all, did it?
Which was absolutely ideal. Yeah. It's how I like my Empire doing nothing.
Except for when they're playing with you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So that was good. I was a big fan of that. And the skeletons just sort of inexorably marched up. We managed to beat down one unit after multi-charging it with General in flank, Poison Wind Globadiers in the back.
It took a lot of work, but I think we needed to get rid of at least one, didn't we?
Yeah. Do you want to just talk about what the Terrorgeist, not even the Banshee, just the Terrorgeist did to us?
It just went through the rat swarms, ran off the board, like you said.
Yeah.
Came back on its turn, just turned to face, and then it started. Basically, all my artillery was then in a line for it, and it just started hitting one, going through, hitting one, going through. Yeah. Actually, no, it charged the cannon, screamed at the Howl Blaster, because she's a horrible person, killed the cannon in combat, so my artillery is gone. I think my engineer didn't flee, I don't think. Oh, no, it's not a high enough unit strength, is it? So, engineer stayed there. Next turn, the engineer's dead.
Yeah.
And then the Terrorgeist was just free to do what it wants, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We weren't putting as much unit as we had into it at this time.
Everything we had. Hellblaster doing no wounds. Cannon. Like, there was a turn, basically, the turn 3, I think it was.
We needed to kill it.
Turn 3, it came back on. It flew up. It positioned. I think it screamed the crossbows to death or something like that. I'd spent like 10 minutes, being like, "No, you've got to angle them like this, otherwise it's going to overrun it." And then we ended up just marching them forwards anyway. So
to get them out of the way so we could shoot it.
Yeah. Basically, we looked at the cannon, and the cannon was, you were declaring 8 inches from the back of the unit.
Yeah.
Because 10 inches was too far. What did you roll on the artillery die to?
10.
Yeah, so shot the cannon, somehow it launches just over the Terrorgeist's head, and we're like, okay, cool.
That's when
I think at that point you had the other cannon, which rolled a 1 to wound.
Yeah.
That happened way too much.
We just couldn't hurt the Terrorgeist at all.
It was horrifying.
I think we only did 2 wounds to it, and we shot everything after.
No. I did 1 wound to it.
1 wound.
With the rats.
1 wound.
The rat swarms did a single wound, which was... That was all we managed. You did manage to wound it once with the cannon. Yeah. At which point Rebecca just calmly
saved on regen.
Yeah, just pass my 5 up. I'm like, oh no, this is brutal. But yeah, so that was going to be like a massive stomp, like a 17-3 or something huge, and became a very, very close win. I think it was an 11-9 in the end.
Yes, it was. Yeah, because we got. I think the game went really quick. The turns were really quick in this game.
Yeah.
So I think by the time the Terrorgeists are there, we were in turn 5, were we? So she only had 2 turns of screaming at us, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. So the first 2 turns, we got to do what we wanted, and the last 3 turns, she got to do what she wanted. Basically, that was how it panned out.
But we managed to, on turn 6, get everything that we didn't want to die far enough away that it couldn't be screamed at.
Yes.
And then that saved us the points of that. So, yeah.
Basically, on, I think, our turn 5, and we went first, you were just like, do I just get the general out of here? And just marched it over the top of her units, which was probably the best thing we could have done. Yeah. But yes.
That Banshee on its own can kill him on a good day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It was...
It's not worth it. Just get it away.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. So that was a case of... the end of the event, had a good time.
Really
we went 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss, which is...
I'm pretty happy with that, to be fair. With the Empire and the Skaven, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a strange combo to play with, to be fair.
Yeah, it's a good gunline list. It's the best I've done so far in an event, which is nice. So
yeah, I'm mine actually.
Gonna have to aim for that 4-1 at least next event, otherwise I'll feel like I've let myself down.
The next one's the 1st of August, is it? The first
Third,
one?
Yeah,
the first one in August, sorry.
Yeah. So when this comes out, it'll be in 8 days' time. So I should probably start painting.
Yeah, probably. I'm not at that one, I'm at the second one. So,
speaking of painting, so I planned in loads of time to get my Skaven ready, because if you've watched any of the videos on here, you might know that I do a lot of the painting last minute, and that's just how I've painted armies forever. Old World, I'm putting a bit more time into it, but I'm still doing it sort of late on. So I thought I had loads of time. Then the FAQ drops on Thursday. I was like, oh, well, I've got to record a video for this. So that was like 4 hours of my evening gone between recording and editing and yada yada. And then I managed to get hold of the Dwarf Arcane Journal and recorded that with Richie. So that was 3 or 4 hours of my Friday gone as well. And I was looking at the time. I was like, okay, so I think I'll probably get 3 hours sleep if I just keep painting to get this done through the night. Oh, that sucks, but whatever, is what it is. Got a message from Richie like 30 minutes after we'd finished recording. It's like, bro, I got something really important. Give me a ring. So I was like, oh God, what's happened now? Like, this is something's gone wrong. And he was like, yeah, I've got a Skaven army painted. Do you want to just borrow some models? I was like, oh, sound, yeah, that'd be great. So he didn't have any of the Poison Wind Globadiers, and he didn't have what else was it? A couple of other bits and pieces.
Rat Swarms, I guess. I think
so it was Rat Swarms and Poison Wind Globadiers, which were 2 of the 3 things I had left to paint. But I was like, you know what? If you could just bring me some, like a unit of 20 clan rats, because they're only half painted, and 2 Rattling guns, because they're like 3/4 painted, but I don't want to rush them. So he's like, yeah, bro, that'll be absolutely fine. Turns up, brings just like a toolbox full of Skaven stuffed in, loads of clan rats, and 2 warp block, not what they called the
Jezreels.
The Jezreels, the warp block Jezreels. He didn't even bring the goddamn Rattling guns.
And you showed him and said, "What are these?" And he was like,
"Yeah,
looked at them like,
mate.
What?
Yeah, mate. I've brought you these are Rattling guns. What are you talking about?" Fortunately, no one noticed and or cared. I did mention
you admitted to the Skaven player.
I did.
Didn't you?
I told Rob as well, and he laughed. I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go home and paint the other ones on the Saturday night." Then I got in on the Saturday night after eating loads of delicious food, and just fell asleep immediately. Yeah. So they have been done now, though. So I've got two Rattling guns here, which you will see in more detail. I'm sure I'll do some sort of event report for the August event as well when I win it.
Skaven winning an event.
I'm convinced that the Cloud of Gutter Runners is a good build, but I've got to put my money where my mouth is before I get too Larry with that. Lovely. Well, any final thoughts on the event?
It was a really good event. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, so my first doubles event actually in Warhammer, because I only started playing Warhammer a few years ago. So yeah, really enjoyed it, and you're a good person to play with.
Thank you. I can't believe how well we synergized. Like, we were on the same page immediately.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird. The 2 armies, it was kind of like, you do your thing, I'll do my thing.
Yeah,
and that's how it worked. The not being able to panic each other was amazing. Because like, if we were fleeing, then
you say that, but we never fled.
No, we did really well. So I don't know how. No matter what they killed, it was just like, we're fine. We're staying here.
It was good.
I don't think we fled anywhere. Ever.
I broken ran for some combats as the Skaven with basically 0 CR, because just got first charged and stuff. But all the panic tests that we were forced to take from shooting and stuff passed all of them.
Yeah, we did really well on it somehow.
And let's call out Richie as well. So there's always a favorite army vote, where you vote for your 2 favorite armies, and that's like theme, execution, painting, all of that combined. And Richie wins that a lot with his dwarves. So who won this time around?
Well, Richie.
Yeah,
with his dwarves,
with 1 tournament army. Poor Alex felt so uncomfortable. And he was like, I didn't paint them though. He didn't want to go up to get the award. I think he gave his award to Richie, which can just join the fat stack that he's got. He must have like 12 or 14 piled up.
I think he's got more than that, actually. I think he was counting them in the car home. I think it's more than that.
Jesus. Yeah. Well, it's all right. I'm going to make sure he doesn't have to suffer
another one,
winning another one.
I'll
we
need to stop him, don't we? Really, we need to make him play a different army.
Yeah, well, that is what we're doing. There's a mini dwarf league coming up, and we're making him play the one dwarf faction that he's not excited to play. So that
one that he says he really doesn't like.
Yeah,
I really like that idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.